Yes, it's a very good morning, and this is Morning Express on this 18th day of March 2015, and we are now on the lifestyle section where we sometimes handle health, but today we're talking about relationships. Yes, on Wednesdays we like to look at relationships of different kinds, and this morning we are talking about your workplace. Now, I was reading something the other day, and actually majority, depending on how long you're employed, for how many years are employed, you actually spend a longer part of your life at your office place, which can be a bit sad if you don't enjoy what you do. But if you enjoy what you do, I'm sure you have a blast, you have a ball. And how we came up with this particular topic is that we were actually just seated somewhere in a round table having breakfast and, you know, sort of preparing for the show like we do. And yeah, the question came up about office relationships. And of course, that sparked the relationship. But now, we did our own local survey, and we picked a sample, and a question was posed by one of the, what shall I call them, adjudicators. And the question was, has any of within the group that was there, which I'm sworn to secrecy, I cannot tell you who was seated there, but anyway, the question came forth, has any of you had an office relationship that has gone beyond just work and has gone into, you know, just beyond work? Let's leave it at that for now. And a whopping 90% said yes, they have had one. So we thought this is a conversation that we should be having. And that's why joining me on the couch this morning is our sociologist, Ken Ouko. Sociologist.
Yes.
Sociologist or sociologist?
Sociologist.
Is it wrong though to say sociologist?
No, it's not. It just sounds shabby, but yeah.
Yes, and also our very own Sophia Wanuna, who has joined us here just to have this conversation. And this morning, I want us to really just, you know, talk about this, just like, you know, people do when they're having their teas and their coffees, as opposed to having the expert answering and all that. It's really just a conversation. And I'll start with you, Ken. Is the workplace, given that this is where we spend most of our lives for a good majority, is it already a ripe place for us to, you know, start a relationship?
Yeah, actually it is, considering the amount of contact time that people spend at work. And when you are in the office, you tend to be, you know, brushing by each other, you know, looking at each other, spending time with each other, talking to each other. And that is basically what we look for in the start of a relationship. We are not supposed to be talking about experts today, but if you look at marriage and dating, it always depends very heavily on the law of propinquity, you know, being near each other. And in simpler terms, proximity, that you can never marry someone, you can never date someone unless you spend spatial space, you know, together. And that's why the office is a very conducive place to meet someone, to start talking to them, and especially to know them. Yeah, because you can study someone very easily from the workplace interaction. Every day you have that opportunity before you make your move, other than the person you meet on the street. Yeah, so you can actually look at them. Sometimes even their phone manners, the things they do at work, you can be able to tell and tell yourself, this is where I'm going to break the ice. Yeah.
So I guess it is already a right place for, you know, for a relationship to start.
You know, dating is like a marketplace. It's a transactional kind of association where you walk the street hoping I will meet this person that I like. Yeah, but in the office, that's already done for you. Especially now with this gender rule in Kenya, where the office must have a certain percentage of women. And yeah, so there's quite a bit of excitement going on around that. And by the time you're entering that office, you know, you are expectant. If you're single, you know that I could probably just find someone here. It's the same thing with class, same thing with, you know, when you do something together for a while.
So it's proximity and the period of time, the length of time, I guess, that you get to spend with these people.
And you know, proximity here includes the idea of encounters, because usually one of the biggest problems with dating is ice break. That's the initial stage of dating. And for you to break ice, you keep meeting this person somewhere in the building or in the or on the street.
Or maybe you're working on a project together.
Yes, but you know, you would have to really like say, hey, it's like this, can we do this beyond the office? But when you're together, you know, those jokes in the office, they start like that. You share stuff, compliments, you know, Sophia, you're looking good, you know, and yeah, it builds up from there.
It builds.
Yeah. Okay, and just to let you know, maybe you'd like to share with us your experiences. Our phone lines are going to be open, and feel free to call and let us know, maybe your current wife or husband you got from the office, and you'd let us know what are some of the challenges that you went through, maybe some of the good things that you can highlight. And Ken, is there anything wrong, professionally speaking, in actually starting a relationship at a place of work?
It does have some negativities that are associated with it, because once you bring in the emotional barometer, at work, then definitely the colleague relationship kind of waters down and is replaced by something else, which might not be, very conducive for occupational professionalism. And whenever you involve your feelings, with another person at work, then definitely you will have to change the way you relate at work. And that's why, like, when doctors are being trained, I teach them at medical school, and one of the things we tell them is you must always maintain what we call affective neutrality. Affective neutrality means even if Miss Kenya walks into your clinic and you're the famous gyna, fine, you have access, but that's it for you.
What an example.
That access should be very official, professional.
And however hot she is, they're like, hey, what's your problem? Then later you can tell your friends, ooh, Miss Kenya was at my place, but you cannot dare make a move on her. And that would be the same problem transposed into a general office like yours, where you meet this person, you really like them, but because you need to maintain that professionalism, the emotional bit might interfere with it. But
sometimes is it possible, given that maybe you're actually genuinely attracted to them, and just to use your example, if Miss Kenya walks in the first time, you might have that discipline and say, okay, fine. But with time, especially if she's also very friendly, very warm, is it really practical?
It's normal to get attracted to somebody.
Imagine
it's not you. Yes, you have those professional codes, but I imagine at some point you cannot help it. I guess it's what you do with it after that point of now I recognize that I'm attracted to this person. Is that something I want to pursue or not?
Actually, if you look at, if you bend towards policy, one of the only few strong exceptions is marriage. Dating, relationships, most offices are easy. But when you really get to marry that person, then now there's a problem, because you'll tend to carry your issues at home into the office. But if it's just a dating relationship, then you could easily hack it. Because most times in the office is where you're able to, like I said earlier, detect or identify the potential date mate. And once you get them, then you spend time with them officially and unofficially. And so you have the benefit of being, propinquitized. You're near each other, and you're able to then adjust and say, oh, today she looks moody, what's up? Then you get to know that that's the bad side of her that you never knew. Something which might take you a longer time if you just met her out there and every time you're together, you're just doing the laughy part. But in the office, you can tell if the boss miffs her, or if she had a problem at home or whatever, and she brings it to the office, then oh, okay, she can be a tigress, So the office kind of makes it easy. But in terms of work delivery, the only issue might be then if you create that gender competition between the two of you, because she might be doing her job better than you. And so then you start having that inferiority complex, and she always delivers, and then the boss seems to favor her, and you start feeling jealous, and all those things put together. So sometimes the office can be detrimental in that regard. Or if she gets to qualify or gets promoted, and you work together. So then for a man, that's not very good for your ego, because then you're left there thinking, okay, how did this happen?
What about, Mike, what do you think about those people who are in relationships and in the office and will show, like they'll be all over each other, hey baby, mwah, mwah.
They're into PDA.
Yeah, PDA, they'll always be holding hands, going to lunch together. Both of you, I'd want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a borderline, because at the end of the day, I think there needs to be a professional front, and not really just a front, but there needs to be a clear distinction between work and pleasure. And when you get all lovey-dovey and very public display of affection, then I think that is crossing the line when it comes to
the workplace.
One of the pillars of dating is exclusivity. And how you get exclusivity is by either telling people, or PDA, showing people, or being seen together. So usually when people do that in the office, it's not for anything else but to try and lay boundaries around each other. So the other guy who's working there starts thinking, okay, there's something going on here. So a lot of people do it on purpose. It's not spontaneous. You're doing it, and people usually discuss it, and they say, you know what, from next week let's start showing guys that we are together, because maybe there's this other who's always,
and a person may get offended if you're not recognizing that, telling people that we are together.
So you need to show it, and then it also builds on your confidence as a couple. That the fact that you work together need not hinder you from expressing your affection to each other. Yeah, it's only when you graduate it, like now finally you say, okay, we are getting married, then you probably ask the boss to take her to another department, or vice versa, you move to another department. Because if you're still together, then now in the morning when you arrive, yeah.
But I wonder, in the eyes of the rest of your colleagues, does that remove some professionalism out of it? Does it make you look like you're, serious with your work?
Yeah, and that's why most office
perception.
relationships are usually kept under wraps for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, if you look at most office relationships, the 90% you talk to, you'll be shocked that 72% are clandé. They're not those.
So they're legit. It's
Yes,
not a main
yeah, it's not legit, because it's an office thing and it ends there. We have
Actually,
fun
we tried to conduct the same survey, but that part didn't get a very good response. We could not scientifically prove what is the
1,792 couples. That's my sample when I did the thing on marriage, that book. And most of those people, we asked them, how did you meet your spouse? And the office setting had 3 different ways that either we worked together, or this guy was a client. He kept popping in like at the bank, you're his favorite teller. The queue can be so long, but he waits for you, And then there are those who just bumped into each other, and then the guy starts visiting your office, just to see you. So there are those 3 different settings. But the one of working together quantified quite a number of those who didn't really have a relationship that led to marriage. It is either extramarital or you are just a second relationship you're trying out.
It's a benefits kind of a thing. But also that also brings in the dynamics of when it's a boss. And talk to us about, especially say it's the woman who's the boss and the guy is, the employee, and vice versa. Of course, commonly you'll have the man being the boss and the girl in the office. That changes, right? In as far as how interaction will.
Excuse me. Surprisingly, Nairobi women, Sophia might be included, I don't know, but Nairobi women have become very, they're very outright, they're very forthright.
Yeah.
If they like what they see, they come for it. Yeah, this never used to happen just a short 10 years ago.
Right.
She would probably wait to be the prey, but these days the Nairobi woman goes out for what she wants.
Maybe there are very few men eligible. Anyway, I don't know.
And part of what that phenomenon has done is also for the successful Nairobi woman to hook on to either a less successful person or somebody below the corporate ladder. Yeah, and it's nothing to do with intimidation. It's just that the Nairobi woman today is able to express herself and find expression in a person that is not necessarily either older or senior to her. Yeah, and I find that really nice about Kenyan and Nairobi women in particular, that you never find that in Uganda, for example.
Right.
That submissiveness, you have to wait, and that's why they have very few of these adult woman, younger man relationships, like in Uganda and Tanzania. But in Kenya, that's the rave now. Yeah?
If that be the case, if your boss is hitting on you, if you're a guy, should that be a matter of concern in terms of how that relationship will pan out? Because obviously it's going to affect your work. And secondly, can you now take the lead in the relationship?
Long ago, the problem in the office was the male boss hitting, like Sophia was saying earlier.
Yes.
It usually used to be the man on the woman, the employee.
Right.
That has changed, and the beauty with it is that the male person is a typically ambitious guy. And so when he gets hit on by the boss, he doesn't see it as a love thing. He's seeing an opportunity. Yeah, this is for me to get my career running, exploit it to the max. And whenever the boss calls him, he's a true mandingo because he has to deliver. Yeah, but then for him, it's a calculated move. It's very rare that you find him totally emotionally immersed in that kind of relationship, as opposed to the older scenario where the man who's the boss would look at some young new employee and say, I like what I see, and totally exploit that situation for the emotional and the sexual. Yeah, but for what is going on now is the opposite. That the woman boss, and many of them, are doing that. They have this young man who they take care of, and it's beyond the office because now it comes with an apartment, a beautiful car. Yes, and the ambitious man,
package.
he enjoys that. He still has his thing out there with the younger ones and whatever. But this boss of his is his boss in all ways.
All right, we'll also look at the question of that effect. Now, when it comes to your boss being a lady and you're the man, are you able to take control or charge of the relationship away from the office now, in terms of the relationship? But I want to ask our viewers if you have experiences. We'd like to hear from you. Give us a call and let us know. Let us know whether maybe you got married from somebody who was a colleague, possibly what are some of the challenges you've gone through, and maybe some of the good things and bad things. And we'll come to that later on as we go along. But Ken, if my boss, for example, is a lady, and she hits on me, and I agree because of what you're saying. You know, there's the perception, and it's a challenge. As a guy, I'm thinking, oh, this is a good
I'll
thing.
use this
But
chance.
now, later on, is it likely to affect me when I now want to be the man in the relationship?
You know, back to research, the most amazing thing we found out about this kind of relationship is that the woman, however senior she is, however loaded, rich she is, tends to become more submissive than your ordinary Sophia on the road. You know, that Sophia will try to show you I am the woman, and you know, we need to do this gender equality and all that, no pun intended. But you know, the senior woman in society, for some reason, when she enters that door of the apartment and shuts it, she wants to show this young man that I am a woman. And so those relationships are a lot of fun for those guys because she's very senior, she's rich, and she's got it all going.
Yeah.
But then when she gets
There's
to
a
that
flip
place, she
side.
wants to, now
She
tell
wants
this
the man
guy,
to come in and
that doesn't
protect.
matter. I've left that jacket out the door. Now I'm your woman, you know. So they tend to be very, very easy, quote unquote, to be with, because she makes it easy for the man, and she's aware that she doesn't want to intimidate it lest she loses him. You know, so this guy also needs to feel like omundu strong sana, like the lawyers say. You know, so
Yeah,
so she
because
makes it easy for him.
Makes it easy for
Yeah.
him. Because I'm wondering, in a case where you get into this relationship in the office place, you're both single, and you know, consider getting more serious, say get even married. Should it now get to a point where one of you decides to leave or go to a completely different department to at least keep the marriage surviving? Because I'm imagining a situation where especially you live together at home, then again at work. I mean, it's just too much in each
I know,
other's space
I
and
know,
face.
I
Is it
know.
advisable
Yeah.
to like have one of the poles step out?
Yeah, actually marriage and relationships, they thrive a lot on space.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people probably don't understand that, but that space needs to be that in the evening you're dying to see the other person.
Right.
You've not been with them the whole day, and then again you go home together. I was seeing in True Love, I think a few months ago, something around your office here, where those guys did exactly that.
Oh.
You know, one of them said, okay, you might not need to change departments or go to another media house. You know? Yes, if you remember that.
Yes, I
And I think that's a very wise decision because then you fall in love, you like each other, you're at work, but you realize we are brushing shoulders too many times, you know, and so therefore, out of courtesy, if you can get an invite to another office, a competing media house, fine, you'll have conflict of interest.
Of interest, but hey.
Yeah, but it's good for you. That space is very, very, very good for you as